an event I had years ago. I entered a black void and had a sense of myself. I felt like I was still the same person, but only in mind. I heard no sounds, no voices. I saw no people. My condition was one of stability. I guess a word that would cover it all would be content. There was no feeling of loss, like where I used to be in my life. I didn't even think of family or pets or anything like that. I was just in this new condition, complete blackness, no lights whatsoever. Several people describe their void. I can take bits and pieces of each description. I can't follow all of it. It seems like variation from person to person. Have a good week, everyone.
But where I was initially was void, the void, what people call the void. But I didn't necessarily say anything like the void. When I was there, it was just this very intense, thick blackness that it felt tangible. Like I was actually moving through this, and I could feel it on me, like velvet, moving through velvet almost. And it communicated. Like I was voices I heard. Things would take shape, and I could see them in my periphery. But as soon as I focused my attention on it, it would disappear like smoke, And I've heard people describe that in NDE since I've returned, since in my integration process. I've watched a lot of NDEs, but I've heard people describe that similar thing, and some of them describe it as ghosts and it's scary. But for whatever reason, it didn't scare me, and I didn't look at these things as I just looked at them as possibilities, kind of, especially after the fact. There's like all possibilities seem to exist there. And that's what I was like, everything was there, and but nothing. So when I looked at it directly, it just seemed to dissipate, That space to me felt like home. And I was content for the bulk of my NDE to just stay in that void.
I died. I felt my body shake and pop. It was a violent pop out of my body. I was ejected into this dark void. And it was like an expanse of space. If you look through a telescope and you see outer space, except don't have any heavenly beings or any luminous beings of any kind. No stars, no sun, no moon, nothing like that. It was just emptiness. And I'm looking into this dark void. But I was flooded with this love and total peace and joy. It was quite baffling because I had just come from a totally contrasted environment of stress and chaos and loud noises. And now it was completely silent and peaceful.
And the energy and the vitality of my physical body was diminishing. And as that was happening, this part of me that was existing was being energized. So this part of me was being energized. And as I was being energized, I found myself in this pure blackness. And it was expansive. It was a kind of black that is illuminated. It was like there was a luminosity to this blackness, and it was the blackest of blackest that I've ever experienced. Yet there was also this sense of it. There was no fear. There was pure being. It was timeless. It was expansive. It was never ending. It was peaceful. There was no worry. There was no questions. There was no wanting. There was no, it simply was being.
For an instant, but an instant that was eternal, I was left with the illusion of being alone. I turned away from the light, and in an instant, I was in complete silence, complete dark. I was in the void, and the void is very peaceful, but the void of God, which is hard to put into words, is the potential for everything, but it is a state of before creation. And with one word, I was back into creation.
So I'm being pulled faster and faster. But then I realized I had a thought occur to me in that moment of how is this possible? And there was no more fear. And so when that happened, I was in this space, empty. It was darkness. Later on, I was told it's called a void, simply because it's void of all things. No sound, no color, no nothing. It's just void. And I had no fear in that void, but I did have the thought of how is this possible? How can I still be me outside of my body? It wasn't making any sense. But I was not afraid anymore also. Afraid I couldn't see anything, couldn't hear it. It was just, but it wasn't scary. So again, I'm questioning, this is strange, like this is odd, and how can this be?